Good morning, y'all. I'm Captain Justin, and this morning I'm going to show y'all how to rig the popping cork. Has to be the best #1 setup that we use for inshore fishing. You gotta get it when the getting's good. Oh my goodness, dude. Nice trout, Chris. Get in that net, girl. There's a whole lot of different popping corks on the market. I think the most important thing is to get one that has a weight on it. That weight will keep your cork straight up and down like it's supposed to be. It will also allow you to throw it pretty dang far. I use a 4 Horseman and I use the oval one. Some people use ones with a cup. So the top of it has a cup on it. This is a better option in my opinion if it's really windy and choppy. The windier it is, the more noise I want to make with that cork. And that's the most important thing when you're using a popping cork, is to pop it pretty good. Don't be afraid that you're gonna scare the fish. That pop draws them into it. That was a small one, but that first one wasn't. I got him that time. Good fish. Big old freaking trout. Oh my goodness, dude. Hang on, girl. Dang it. I do have a lot of openings in June for boat trips. If y'all want to book a trip, my website is cleanfunfishing.com. I look forward to fishing with y'all, and my guide service is more about teaching. I'm there for any questions that you might have while we're out there, and of course we're gonna fish too. So I'm gonna show y'all how to rig it. We'll start with artificial first. Your leader length. I use a 30-pound mono leader. The length will depend on the depth that you're fishing. If I'm fishing 2 to 3 feet, I'm gonna use about a 2-foot leader. And if I'm fishing deeper than that, I might put a 2.5 to 3 foot leader on there. You can really only get away with about 3 feet. You know, it makes it harder to cast whenever you got a really long leader. So I'm normally using 2 to 3 feet on my leader. And if I'm gonna fish a little bit less than 2 feet, I'm gonna use about an 18-inch leader. I think the best lure to use under a popping cork is gonna be a shrimp imitation lure. A lot of people throw paddle tails under a popping cork, and I know, you know, people catch fish on them. I just think that the action of a shrimp lure is completely different under a popping cork than a paddle tail. And we are very successful with the Marker 54 jerk shrimp because they are rigged backwards, and so whenever you pop it, that shrimp pops up and bends just like a real life shrimp does. All the other lures that are rigged traditionally, they don't pop the same direction. They actually pop the opposite direction of a real life shrimp. So I think they really like that jerk shrimp. I have caught them on other, you know, shrimp lures too, but I really like the jerk shrimp because of how durable it is, you know. So, you know, if I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna fish on water depth, you know, you don't want to change your rig all throughout the morning if you're gonna hit several different spots. So you can actually just get away with about an 18-inch leader, you know. But if you get into a little bit deeper water and you're not getting any hits, you can make that leader a little bit longer and get that shrimp lure down closer if the fish happen to be, on the bottom. When they're feeding, 99% of the time, they're not going to be on the bottom. They're going to be towards the surface, even if you're in deeper water. So usually 18 to 24 inches is about what I stay with. So I tie a clinch knot with the mono. Let me show y'all. There's a lot of knot videos out there, but I'll just show you real quick if y'all can see it. You're going to wrap around with 30 pound, you're going to wrap around 4 times. And then you're going to go back through the bottom hole that you created, and that's it. Put a little spit on it. As you're sliding it down, with your fingers, slide that knot down. Help slide it down so it doesn't burn and kink your line. And that's it. See how it didn't kink the line? And then your shrimp lure, we're going to use the same knot. Some people use a loop knot, and nothing wrong with that, man. I don't. I just use a clinch knot. Trim off your excess. And that's it on the lures. On the lures, I'm going to be popping them a little bit more often because it's a piece of plastic. And I believe that those fish need to see that thing moving pretty often. If it's just dangling there, they will hit it, especially speckled trout. They will hit it on a longer pause pretty often, but most of the time, I think that they would rather see that lure, working pretty often, because you're trying to make that plastic look real. So about every 3 seconds, I'm popping it. On the lures, when the cork goes down, you're going to reel in immediately, and when you start to feel the weight of the fish bend your rod tip, then you set the hook. A lot of people, as soon as that cork goes down, they're setting, and if the fish doesn't have it, that cork's going to come right back at them towards their face. So when the cork goes down, you're going to reel in fast, and then you're going to know that the fish is on there, or if he is not. And if the rod starts to bend, then you set the hook. If it doesn't bend, your cork comes back up, you didn't set, so now that cork's not going to come flying back at you, With live bait, or I've even caught them with cut bait under a cork. Definitely frozen shrimp works under a popping cork. With the bait, you have a lot of trash fish. If you get into too many trash fish, it's time to move to a different spot. But even when you're in good fish, you'll have trash fish that'll take the cork down and then it'll come back up. So when I'm using bait, I'm gonna let that cork go down for about 4 or 5 seconds before I even start reeling it in. If it stays down 4 or 5 seconds, a good amount of the time, it's a good fish. Drum also will take it down and let it come back up. They'll take it down and it'll come back up, and then they'll take it down and it'll stay down. So drum are a slow eating fish pretty often. So be a little more patient with the bait. The hooks that I use is a Mustad 3/0 wide gap hook. I use this hook for shrimp, whether it's frozen or whether it's live. And this is the perfect size shrimp hook. For me, anyways. This is what I use a bunch. I'll put links down below for y'all, all the links that I can find, if y'all want to order them. So, last but not least, where should you throw these corks? Where should you be fishing at? Some of the areas that I fish with the cork is going to include grass flats, grass edge drop-offs, creeks and cuts. I'll show you what they look like on Google Earth, and then I'll show you a few pictures, me being on the water, where you can actually see some of the areas that I really like to throw these corks in. Your first step is to find these things on Google Earth, wherever it is that you fish at. and then just go fish them. And when you're on the water, you can see the color changes on the water. So an example of a cut or a gut. So a cut is going to be where basically two islands or two, structures open up. So you got some sort of structure on this side, some kind of structure on that side, and then there's water in between it. That's called a cut. Usually within the cut is a deeper gut, which is like a deeper ditch under the water. When the tides are moving, you got some good current ripping through these cuts and guts. These are good places to fish. An example of a gut is going to be right here. So you got all these dark colors on Google Earth over here, and then right here you got a blue color. This is your deeper ditch or your gut, and you can catch fish in guts. Like I said, when current's moving, you got to have current inshore. We have a few days a month where the tide is just pretty dang weak. Here's a good example right here. We got two islands, and then right here in the middle, this is your cut, and you can tell by the blue color that it's a deeper gut within the cut. If you're fishing in the marsh, you might have just a small patch of grass, or it could be an island also. So here's a good example right here. We got two islands. We got this little small island, and we got that little small island. If wind is coming in between and pushing through the cut, these are good places to fish. Another example is going to be your grass edge drop-offs. And this will be similar no matter where you fish at. You can find these things on Google Earth and fish them, So this is your grass edge drop-off. You have the darker color in here. This is deeper grass that is submerged. And right here where this color change is, this is your drop-off. You can use your trolling motor on your boat, or you can kayak right down these drop-offs for speckled trout. I catch reds usually in the shallower grass near the shorelines. I have a few pictures that I saved that were from my video, and some actual real life stuff, so you can see what to look at while you're on the water. Some things that look good to me that I catch fish in too. So in this picture we have a muddy grass flat area, and your darker colors is your submerged grass. So here's a big long grass patch right in here. It goes about like that, and then right above it you have a color change. This tannish, greenish looking water is a gut that runs through all of this grass, and you have another gut right in here that runs this way. So this is some good stuff to fish. Whenever I'm fishing something like this, I like to work the drop-offs, which is going to be over here. This grass ends right there, and then it starts again and it ends right there. So I like to cast parallel to these drop-offs for trout, and when I'm fishing for redfish, I'll fan cast all of this grass and position myself to where I can work all that, and then I'll move on down and I'll cover a new section of grass and a new drop-off. I start getting into the fish, I'm going to put my anchor down and work it a little bit longer. Here's an example of a pretty deep gut right in here. This shallow grass drops off into a deep ditch. That blue color right there is your deeper gut. And you can see these things on the water if you have some sunlight, and it definitely helps to have polarized glasses, and it helps a lot if it's sunny to be able to see these things on the water. When you're in grass flats, your tan spots, which we call potholes, all of your tan spots you want to cast into. Redfish like to hang out in these potholes, speckled trout also. You have all this darker color up here. It's a whole lot of thick grass, and then you have the tan spots. Aiming for these tan spots and running your lure or your bait through these tan spots and covering all of the tan. If you cover all of the tan, you are eliminating a whole lot of water, and sometimes it can be a lot of dead water that you're eliminating, so cast to your potholes when you're in the grass flats, when you're drifting them. Here's another picture of my buddy Oscar hooking up within the potholes that we just showed y'all a while ago. So Oscar was just fan casting these tan spots, and we caught several fish all in these tan spots that morning. I hope some of the tips were helpful. Thanks for watching, and tight lines, y'all. Nice, yeah, man. There's a few in there. We're gonna keep one more. Yeah, we got 5 in there. Yeah, we'll still catch and release anyway.